Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to First Cut. This is our update video on the SAG strike. The SAG strike has been going on as of recording 101 days. So we wanted to do an update on what is going on with this strike. What is any new information that has been coming out from the trades, from the SAG organization itself, RB3. I know we've been keeping up for this for a while. WGA got their deal. They ratified their deal. Everything is all good, all set on their end. But now SAG is trying to come to terms with the AMPTP and get a new deal going on. Last week, negotiations fell through. They did not get what they wanted and they left the table. It was the AMPTP that left the table because of negotiating on the SAG portion. And I do feel like this is getting into crunch time right now, but I want to get your feelings on what is currently going on with the SAG strike.
Yeah, no, I definitely thought this would be over a lot sooner than later, especially when we talked about in our last video. I thought pretty much almost a week after the writer's strike would be over, the SAG strike would be over because, I thought the writer's deal, the terms that they came to, would set a good precedent and standard for the actors to where negotiations go forward based on those terms. Secondly, I thought, the studios need to get back to work. I mean, the television season's already been started. Like, we need, if they wanted to get cameras rolling on shows for the fall season, I mean, that should have happened yesterday. Now we're at the end of October. October 21st is recording this, and there's nothing rolling. There's no Stranger Things. There's no Abbott Elementary. There's no hits. So it's like, what are we going to do? People, they're already starting to roll out shows that are, they kind of consider like secondary tier to, like, I'm particularly thinking of like Max putting out the rap SHIT one from Issa Rae. Obviously, they have a good relationship with Issa Rae, but I feel like they didn't really promote that show first season. They're barely promoting it now, but at least they're rolling it out during this fall season because there's literally nothing else to come out. Same thing with shows that we were already seeing. Low Key has already been out. They haven't been able to do any reshoots on it. And it's clear when you watch some of these episodes, like, there's big narrative gaps. They're like, this would have been filled in with something. Deadpool 3 is on the line for whether or not that's going to make its release date. So, yeah, man, it's like the studio's getting greedy and they're paying the prices for it. They're going to miss money. They're going to miss shareholder investments. They're going to miss all that. That is, that's important to them. So that's on them.
Yeah, I feel like where they're coming from is obviously greed, because I feel like at this point there's been enough deals made. Obviously, you mentioned the WGA. There's been enough progress made when it comes to negotiating and talks that I do feel like this is, again, I've said it before, the type of industry shifting type stuff that we're facing when it comes to the deals that can be made. If SAG settles and the studios get what they want in these negotiations, I do feel like it could be detrimental to the future of acting, of background acting, of fairness with working on set when you're a side actor, a one-line actor, a few-line actor, or no-line actor. That's the main issue at hand. It is not about the big actors. It is not about the people who have meaty roles. It is about the people who are standing in the background or getting one or two lines at most. And those kind of people could be phased out of the industry completely if the studios get what they want. When it comes to AI, when it comes to signing away your face forever and just being on set for one day, that's absolutely detrimental to the future of the industry. So I do feel like more than ever, they need to hold the line, absolutely, for the future of the industry. And it's very scary because it could cost so many jobs, and it's already costing people their livelihood. I don't know if a lot of people are going to be able to keep their places, literally keep their apartments throughout winter season. And now winter season's coming. We're going to have Thanksgiving soon after Halloween. And once Thanksgiving comes, Christmas is right around the corner. It's a new year and we still don't have a deal. That to me is definitely scary hours when it comes to what is going on with the SAG strike. Do you feel like there needs to be a deal before the end of next year, before the start of next year?
I mean, there needs to be a deal before the end of next week. I mean, if I'm being honest, because there's so many people who are not even just actors. I mean, I've talked about it before from the very beginning. Crew members, grips, gaffers, lighting people,
PAs.
PAs. I mean, you're talking about ancillary parts of the crew, like catering, dry cleaning, janitors, like all of these big pieces. Yeah, exactly. Hotel workers, operators. It's like all of these things depend so heavy on the film industry, and a lot of these people are hurting, bro. Like every time I go to, I've been going I went to a party, like a Halloween party last night. I was talking to somebody who has been out of work since May because of the strike. I mean, I know my boy, me and John, who I do the Real Ones podcast with here on First Cut. My buddy, he works on set very regularly, various roles, but he's just been nothing since May. Same. I mean, a lot of us are going to, a lot of us behind the scenes, below the line crew are going to, like, you know, second tier, third tier jobs, because it's like ain't nothing out there right now. So it's like we have to figure something out. And I do wish, like, as much as the studios are at fault for this, and they are at fault because they're not making the fair deal, I do wish there were more actors who were vocal about that side of it too, who were more vocal about the pain that the crew is feeling. I've seen some actors talk about it, like Jessica Chastain did a post about it recently on Twitter, or tweet about it, and then you know, some other people do, but I feel like there's just so many people in this industry who just have no regard for below the lines crew, anything like that, and even to the point of where, you know, a disgruntled crew member or something like will mention that in their replies or their mentions, like, hey, like, I know Shrek's hard for actors, it's also hard for us too. But then sometimes these actors will come back like, you think it's harder for you? You think da-da-da-da-da? A lot of times, you know, background actors are getting paid less than that. I've seen that so many times, and it's like, why are y'all attacking the crew members? Like, they're not the ones who are holding out on y'all. So I do wish we would just have a really good and fair and honest conversation about the repercussions of this strike for everybody. So
yeah, absolutely. And I feel like I feel like the fight should be exactly what I said. It should be about the people who are bottom of the line in the acting industry, which is the background people, which is the people who fill the gaps, which is people who maybe have one line, but that at most. And then everyone else, to me, the focus should be on getting that fair deal in order for the industry to restart. Because like you said, what a lot of people don't understand about the Hollywood industry is that it is run by so many people who are doing jobs that are extremely thankless, extremely grueling, and their only source of income, unless you're working, like you said, third string kind of jobs, where it's the kind of jobs where you're doing service jobs, service food or something like that. Because that's the kind of industry that it's built on. It's built on a hierarchy type system where you have to be working for a certain amount of years to even get a head PA. If you want to be head PA of something, which is just a little bit more of a pay bump versus a regular PA who is bottom of the barrel, or like you said, grips, camera ops, set decoration, art decoration. Like a lot of people who work in those industries, that's a huge, like, people, I've worked a little bit behind the scenes as well. The art department is huge. Yeah. Like that could be like 50 people on set. Yeah. And I've seen it. And it's like, that's a lot of people who need a job and who are now, again, trying to find ways to survive. So it's tough, but I do feel like we do have to hold the line. And by we, I just mean in general, just SAG in general, because I do feel like the studios are trying to transform just in a dramatic way. Like, I'm talking dramatic, where AI runs background acting, period. There is no such thing as background actors ever. And that would be just awful. And that would be a lot of jobs.
It would, and it would be a lot of jobs. I do think, you know, there are so many examples where it's gotten egregious lately, where that clip going viral from that Disney Channel movie, I think it was prom night or whatever, where all the people in the crowd were CGI, and they looked like 2K characters, and it looked bad, it looked terrible. People caught that out rightfully, and obviously it had a big backlash. I do think as technology gets better, there is the risk of that not being so obvious and not being so apparent. But I also do think, you know, humans are smart. We do get the uncanny valley part of it. So, like, I think that, like, a lot of people, if studios do really try to go super hard on making CGI background actors out of everybody, like, people are going to notice that, and people will be like, yo, what the freak's going on? You know what
That's
I mean?
what we say now. That's what we say. But these are studio executive billionaires who are so disconnected from reality, so disconnected from what people actually want to see, that I don't give them the benefit of the doubt. I really do feel like we're going to see 1,000 Quantumanias, like I said before, or 1,000 Flashes, where the CGI is so bad and it's just all CG that studios think, oh, this is it. We made it. This is awesome. People are going to love this. That's their head. That's what's inside their head. They think that looks cool. And they think that's the best superhero movie ever made, or whatever the hell Zaslav said.
Well, yeah, but then they go ahead and see how much that movie bombed on his head.
They're going to blame it on Ezra Miller. They're going to blame it on, a million other things. Well, I just feel like executives are so disconnected, man. They're like...
Yeah, they are disconnected, and I think that's why, they make bad movies, and that's why there's been a string of a lot of bad movies. But I think we've seen from the hits that came out this year, from Barbie, from Oppenheimer, from Killers of the Flower Moon, which, is for an R-rated 3-hour and 30-minute movie, still making $27 million opening weekend. That's impressive. So there's audience for non-CGI, non-superhero films. I think that's becoming more and more evident. And I think we will... I think I've said this before, but I think we're about to enter a new Hollywood wave, man. I think we're in the same way that musicals and westerns dominated the 1940s, 1930s, 40s, 50s, and then by the time the 60s came around, they started to crash and burn. I think the same thing is going to happen for superhero movies and CGI fest, and then we're going to see a new wave of like independent filmmakers, independent writers and voices really creeping out and crawling. I mean, we started seeing it already with A24 kind of bringing that to the platform, bringing that movement to the forefront. But I think it's going to expand and get even bigger and better, especially after these strikes are over.
Yeah, two things I want to touch on before we take off. The first is that there are meetings set in place for October 24th, I believe, for the AMPTP to come back to the table. I do believe that it is the majority of the studios coming back, along with obviously SAG leadership. So hopefully, again, they're trying to resolve this before Halloween. I've said that for the past 3-4 months because that's what I've heard. And I think that's what they've said too. So I don't think it's necessarily anything breaking news. But they're trying to get this before Halloween because
of the costumes. Dress up. Yeah. Also, yeah, that's they've
been trying to do this before Halloween for a minute though, so I can't even throw shade. I can't even hate.
I'm not gonna throw shade, but this is the example of like SAG losing the PR war. Like y'all are losing the battle on for the normies of like this going too far because y'all tried to tell us that we couldn't take a picture inside the Barbie box. Like when we saw Barbie, y'all tried to tell us like we can't go to Comic-Con and do cosplay, but now it's Halloween and. I'm not gonna lie. Last year's Halloween were some of the best costumes I've seen from everybody, from normal people, from celebrities. Like Halloween has really gotten to that place, and now if it's like getting to a point of like, there, it's even that Variety tweet that they did, like talking about, if you can dress up as, Nate Jacobs' version of Elvis, but you can't dress up as
I thought it was a joke.
Austin Butler's version. Nah, but it was real though. I mean, and it linked to an article with talking about that. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. So yeah, that y'all, as much as I support the SAG movement and support the union and support the fight, that's like a dog. Y'all are going. That's cringeworthy. Y'all are trying to control that. So
I feel like their POV, if I can defend them, is. There has to be some sort of repercussions. And it's not just repercussions from the studios because it's easy for the studios to be the bad guy because they are the bad guy. But it's a little bit tougher with, if I'm being honest with you, RB3, that if I go on Twitter right now, literally right now, everyone is posting about Loki. Loki, Kang.
It's dope. Good show.
And it's cool, right? But I feel like if I'm a studio and I go online and I'm like, man, I'm chilling, bro. I got everyone else promoting Loki for me. I don't need to promote Loki. Like I feel like a lot of people kind of forget that there is a strike going on in some way. And I'm not saying you can't post about Loki. Obviously you can if you want. I'm simply saying there is this kind of fading back into the mind of like, I don't think there's a strike going on anymore because of the WGA strike ending. A lot of people feel like, oh, the strike's over, chill, whatever. And that's not the case. And I've seen a lot of people and I'm not going to call them out, but I've seen a lot of people who've said they wouldn't talk about TV shows and stuff, and now they are. And I'm not necessarily throwing blame at them, but it's almost like they kind of gave up with that whole thing because they feel like it's been a long enough time. Might as well pretend like everything's okay because it's been a minute and I just needed to talk about Loki or something like that. And that's cool, but it also kind of throws a little bit of hindrance if you're SAG at the negotiating table trying to push for these deals and trying to push for these negotiating factors. And at the same time, I'm a studio and I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like I got freaking so many millions of Twitter, film accounts promoting Loki for me. Why do we need you? Right? That's kind of their attitude right now. So I do feel like they're trying to apply pressure for Payne when it comes to us, or actors, I guess. But I get your point, though. It does feel like it's excessive in the sense of like you can't celebrate a holiday. Literally, it feels like that's what they're saying, right?
Yeah, and then but that again, it feels like there's too many rules. It feels like we like you said, the writer strike that came and went, and it felt like that was the big part of it. Like, why are we still on strike? I definitely think that the actors' cause is a greater cause for the rest of Hollywood, like you indicated. You know what I mean? Like, it is going to trickle down to the rest of like you mentioned, background actors, the crew, directors. Even though DGA signed a terrible deal, it's still going to trickle down to them, and it's going to affect a lot of. Getting a good deal for SAG and for WG at the same time is going to positively affect a lot of creators and enable a lot of growth. Now, does that mean the same amount of movies are going to get made every year? I don't know. And I do think, and going to your point about serving studios, giving them the business, kind of like holding them accountable for the strike. I think, of course, for the big shows like Loki and for Star Wars, like. Yeah, that doesn't, they'll still get conversation pieces and people still talk about those. But I think the biggest thing that they're losing out on are films like Killers of the Flower Moon or things like Dumb Money, which I saw a couple weeks ago, starring Paul Dano, Anthony Ramos, America Ferrera, Statcast, Seth Rogen. And that movie definitely would not have flopped if it had not been on strike. Like, if you had all those actors out there promoting this film, like, that movie would have been an easy sleeper hit, but because people aren't out there. Same thing with Killers of the Flower Moon. Even though it made $27 million, it could have probably made $50 million if you had Leo out there on the trail, really really pushing it. So it's like, again, I don't as much as the studios are, they kind of think they're doing okay with the Lokis and the Ahsokas and all this stuff. Like, they're really hurting when it comes to their investment and their other movies and their other properties. Gran Turismo, I think about a lot too, from Sony as well. So it's like, we gotta see this come to the end for the benefit of everybody, for the benefit of the actors, for the benefit of the crew, for the benefit of the studio, also for the benefit of the journalists. Because, like you said, I do empathize with those people who stopped doing content for the strikes and stuff. Like, man, I mean, I don't know if Ken Knapsack is started doing content again. But he was telling me during, we did a little short film or a little filming thing together recently. Most of his Patreon just left. Because a lot of people on his Patreon subscribe to listen to him talk about Star Wars, and Ahsoka is out, the biggest Star Wars show out. And he can't talk about it. He doesn't want to talk about it. So people just leave. So he's literally losing money. It's just so many ways people are losing money in ways that you wouldn't even think they would be losing money, but they are because of the strike. So that's why it needs to come to an end.
Yeah, and I totally get that. But at the same time, I do feel like we should hold the studios 100% accountable as much as we want to try and hold SAG leadership accountable. I still feel like we should hold the studios accountable for what is happening because this is 100% on them. And I really do feel that. And I know this feels like hard times because of everything that's been going on. And I do want to reiterate your point as well about promotion. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say they're fine. I do feel like it's so frustrating to see good projects not being able to be promoted in a proper manner with actors who can elevate themselves and elevate this project regardless of what it is. You just mentioned Issa Rae, but that would be a great example of her being able to promote a show. Or other Max shows that have been coming out that I've been seeing come out that I'm just like, wow, this is not getting any promo because of the SAG strike and because of what's been going on with these strikes. And I do feel like it's 100% unfair to these actors who have made this their passion project and are unable to get any kind of promotion for these projects. I think of stuff like Young Love, which I was watching.
Oh yeah, Matt Cherry, yeah. Which I actually did. I'm sorry, y'all. Like, sorry for First Cut fans. They sent me these episodes way early, like a month in advance, and I was supposed to review them for the channel. I just never did. But
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, no, we're gonna get to them. We're gonna get to it eventually.
Oh, okay. So maybe I can do it with you. I mean, eventually, once the strike is over or whatever.
Yeah,
I guess at this point.
yeah. No, it's a good show. It's a great show. But yeah, no, that show is affected Swagger. Winning Time. Winning Time is a big time affected. Even there's a new black show that just dropped recently that they're even talking about. It's kind of on the chopping block a little bit.
Oh, really?
I can't remember which one it was.
Was it on Max or was it on another platform?
I don't even remember.
Or was it maybe Prime?
Maybe it was Prime. I don't know. But yeah, but either way, like, yeah, we need to figure this out, like, quick. Like,
yeah, I feel like it's unfair to certain actors, not necessarily the big ones, but I still think of Iman Vellani.
Yeah.
I still think of her, and I still think of actors like that who are getting different opportunities to do their stuff. I saw one show in particular that I wish I could think of. I don't know if you're thinking of the same one I am, but where I saw this actor and I was like, man, this would be a perfect opportunity for them to promote this show, but they're unable to. And I do feel like that's becoming unfair. It's really becoming frustrating that we can't get these people to promote their stuff, which again is just basic common courtesy, to be honest. Obviously, not when it comes to the big major projects like a Tom Hiddleston, like that doesn't matter. But when it comes to the smaller actors and the smaller projects, for them to be able to promote their shows, just so they can get some shine. And I also feel like, last thing I want to say, it's frustrating that a lot of people who are trying to stand in solidarity just can't talk about this stuff that's getting buried. That's the whole point of sometimes being on film Twitter, is to showcase smaller hidden gems, I guess, if you want to call them, and to be like, hey, check this out. It features these kind of creators that are on the rise or coming up, and you could check the show out. And then people who maybe didn't even know about it can scroll past that and see that and be like, I'm gonna check that out. Not just the major big shows like a Disney Plus show, but the smaller projects that you and I used to really love and talk about, and we would promote and do that all the time on our personal accounts on Twitter or on here at First Cut. And I feel like those are missed opportunities that a lot of people haven't been talking about it. And then studios see that and they say, oh, I guess no one's talking about it. I mean, without them realizing that the majority of the people who would talk about it are standing in solidarity and are not purposely not talking about it because of this whole strike that's been going on. So that to me is frustrating. It's very frustrating. But the only thing we can do is to hope that the studios come back a little bit more humbled to the table, and this strike can end. But any final thoughts, RB3?
I mean, shout out to the Marvels. Like you said, Iman Vellani, I do think is probably gonna flop, honestly, which is really sad. Because Nia DaCosta is a Black woman director, first time in the MCU, it should be doing a lot better. But, again, if we had Brie Larson out there, if you had the beautiful Teyonah Parris out there and promoting everything, it probably would be a lot more successful. But, with studios getting greedy, losing out on money, they pushed back the Bike Riders, Jeff Nichols' new film, which I was looking forward to, also with Austin Butler. Challengers and Zendaya, that was highly anticipated for me. And just other shows that I feel like were casualties of, the strike. I mean, I'm a Virgo came out on Amazon Prime earlier this year. There's mad movies and shows and and things that just, I wish we'd have a solution way to promote them in an appropriate way that isn't breaking strike. But that's just the way it is. And because studios got greedy, we can't do anything about that. But I do, again, it's all on the studios end. The chip, what they say, the chips are on your side. I don't know what the saying is.
Chips may fall where they may.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess. But yeah, we figure it out soon, please. We have to.
And I feel like that's something that we always want to keep focusing on, is the fact that it is on the studios and we do want to see progress made and we do want to see change. I almost feel like, this is my last point, I almost feel like it would have been better to push these things, if I'm being honest, to push some of these projects. And I know that's a hot take because a lot of people want to see it right away. But I do feel like that's almost, I don't want to say selfish, but kind of selfish. Where a lot of people have been posting this past week about Dune 2, and they're like, Dune 2, Dune 2. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm kind of cool with it now. I'm kind of cool with March, because I would prefer, as much as people would say I'd rather see it now, I would actually rather see a quality campaign around it, a quality run, a quality promotion, marketing strategy that feels a little bit more refreshing, less than a half-assed marketing strategy that feels like, hey, we're putting this out here just because it's a date we have to hit. I don't know. That's just my opinion, but just on my, I would rather see the Marvels get pushed, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Stuff like the Marvels. Just so they have their chance. Neil Costa, Tiana Paris, Iman Vellani, those type of actors and those type of creators have the opportunity to promote it. I guess Neil Costa can't promote it, but you know what I'm trying to say. Either way, guys, those were our thoughts on the SAG strike. Let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. You can follow us right here at First Cut. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure to follow me at Squad Leader Ace and RB3.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Director RB3.
Either way, guys, for the First Cut crew, we're going to be peacing out, so peace.